Hi. Thank you. Peace is very important to me, and the environment.
As compared to?
Chaos, clutter, and the environment that I work in and live in is very important. And it seems like Spirit has given me several challenges. And I was doing a tarot recently, and the control card just fell out. So I want to know if my wanting peace and harmony is a control issue.
Well, it is, but you see, the reason that this fits so beautifully into what we're talking about here is because what you're saying is, if I can control my environment and keep it tidy, then my resulting emotion is one of a peaceful feeling. And what you're hearing us talking about here today is that if you are taking the emotional journey, then you should be able to eliminate the need for the condition to change. You should be able to achieve your feeling of peacefulness regardless of what is going on in your environment. And when you do, then your environment will acquiesce to your vibration of peacefulness and will yield to you the serene environment that you are looking for. Give us some details about your environment.
I work with other people in a school, and it's very important to me to have this classroom in that vibration, and I come
Well,
in...
you're talking about a vibration, and yet you mean something really physical. So what is it physically that you see that is annoying to you?
I just see that people don't care, and they don't keep it... They don't honor the space.
So they make messes in it?
Yes, they leave stuff. I call it clutter. They're not responsible for their personal,
How long have you been in this space with these other clutter ones?
2.5 years.
And what was the space like before?
Worse.
And so it is improving.
Yes.
Have you ever been, as you've been interacting with others, in a clutter-free space?
My office.
So as long as you are in control of the space, it can be clutter-free.
Yes.
But unless you are in absolute control of it, which means you're the only one there,
yes,
then clutter happens.
Yes.
As Jerry and Esther were driving to dinner yesterday, they were on several new roads in this area, several new freeways, new to them anyway, and sort of noticing how beautiful it all was. They were noticing roof lines and architecture and things that are different for them than they are accustomed to seeing. And then Esther was driving. She stopped at a stoplight, and it was a long one. And as she looked over, in the grassy area, there was a drainage ditch, and someone had dumped their garbage there and some bottles and some clutter. And Esther looked over at it and thought, I will take my attention from that. And then she looked off into the skyline, and then she looked over at it again, and she thought, I will take my attention off from it. And then she looked off into the distance, and then she looked back at it again, and she said, if everybody did that, it would be quite a mess around here. And then she wished she had not said that, because she could feel that she activated within herself discord. In other words, she was not feeling as good. In other words, she had gone from her set point, which was one of appreciation, to one of criticism. And then from her feeling of criticism, she made it even worse by saying, if everybody did such a thing. Well, everybody doesn't do it. So why talk about everybody doing it? Well, because I want to justify my annoyance at somebody doing it. So as I want to justify my annoyance at somebody doing it, I parlay it into what if everybody did it, and now I have a bigger case to take to the court of the universe to say, if everybody did that. And what we want to say to Esther and to you is that if she keeps that up, she will be covered in garbage. In other words, everywhere she goes, the universe will say, here is more which matches your active vibration. Here is more that matches your active vibration. So total strangers would bring their trash to Jerry and Esther and leave it around their car. In other words, even though there is not trash everywhere, it would be everywhere the active vibration was calling it, you see. So now that seems preposterous to you maybe a little bit, and yet it is really the way the universe works. In other words, everything is moving in currents. And so when you say, oh, there is clutter in my space, it's even more than that. You're not only saying they're clutter bugs or they're leaving clutter or they're disorganized, you're saying they don't respect the space. In other words, you wanted to make a greater cry to the universe because it's very upsetting to you. It is disturbing your peace. And there is a part of you that knows that you're supposed to feel good. And when you don't feel good and you think you have pinpointed why you don't feel good, then it feels like somebody should call somebody. In other words, somebody should do something about me not feeling good, but nobody's calling anybody. So then you beat the drum a little louder. Not only are they making a clutter, but they don't respect the space. And we suspect that if we let you continue in that direction, you'd say, they must not have any respect for themselves either. In other words, the case gets bigger and bigger and bigger, where what you're wanting to do is to make that case smaller and smaller and smaller while you are looking for evidence of clutter-free space. We're not kidding you. You could be a person standing in a neutral zone of no clutter, and you could look at beautiful flowers or clutter, beautiful flowers or clutter, beautiful flowers or clutter. And if these were the only two things that you were thinking about, and you were thinking about them equally, you would have beautiful flowers amid clutter all around you. But if you were to focus more upon the beautiful flowers and less upon the clutter, in a matter of weeks, you would find yourself surrounded by beautiful flowers and clutter would be absent from your experience. Just as you focus upon clutter only, flowers are absent from your experience and you are surrounded by clutter. So what happens when you say it's getting better? That must mean you're starting to relax a little bit about it. But we do not think that it was a freakish accident that the tarot card was the control card. We think law of attraction is showing you that that's right where it is. You think that in order for you to feel good, that you have to control the environment, which means you have to control others. And since you cannot do that, then you feel defeated in it. And that is what is disrupting your peace, you see.
Wow. Yes.
You could feel joyous among clutter if you could selectively sift amongst the clutter things that are pleasing to you. In other words, you could mine for gems amidst clutter. And if you could focus singularly enough upon the gems, the clutter would fade off into the background, and the gems would be mostly what your experience is about. And again, we say it's this emotional journey. We don't think that it is so much about the clutter as it is about you resenting the ripple in your own vibration that seems to be brought about by people thinking differently. And we would like to say to you that this control thing that you're about is not a negative thing. It's a powerful desire to control the way you feel. And when you decide that it's about controlling the way I feel, not controlling the clutter that I think is making me feel the way I feel. Now. So just play with it a little bit. Try to find a different way of responding to the clutter. Talk to us about it. Talk to us about the clutter with an intent to make yourself feel better. Stay right on focus, stay right on the subject, and try to find relief as you focus upon clutter. Esther would say, some of my most productive moments have been amidst great clutter.
I have to change my thinking and seeing, as you said, to look for the gems, not to look at the clutter, but to look at what the clutter is sitting upon.
Yes, well, just try.
So the beach, I see the sand, and the sand is beautiful. And I see the dunes, and I see the sun, and I'm...
All right, now, are you working at the beach?
No.
Then you've changed the subject.
Uh-oh.
Good try, though.
Okay.
And not inappropriate, really, because anything that you do that makes you feel better, then when you go back to refocus again, you're in a better place. Mm-hmm. But don't lose sight of the subject that you said was the point of your discomfort.
Okay.
Is there one particular person who seems to be responsible for more of the clutter than anyone else?
Well, that's in my home. That's not at work, yes. That's my daughter, youngest daughter.
Oh, is she here? No. Then let's talk about that. Because that's where it is. In other words, that's why it's active within you.
I know that.
So, what's she still doing in your home?
She doesn't pick up after herself in the kitchen, particularly. And I've asked her not to eat in the living room, and she still is.
Now, you talk about your home. Mm-hmm. Is it her home too?
No, she visits.
So it isn't even where she really lives? She just comes over and messes things up?
Yes. Yes.
And why do you feel uncomfortable about saying what you want? In other words, you're timidly whispering, like you don't have the right to say the way you want it to be.
I'm getting stronger in that, but she's not honoring me.
Oh, there it is again.
Yeah.
There it is again. In other words, you see, what's at the heart of all of this? You are right about something that you are within reach of, but not quite able to grasp. You deserve to be honored. Mm-hmm. And Source honors you. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you know that, but often you do not. So you are on the right track. You look at the beach. And you step back into the greater world. And you feel appreciation for your life, for this world, for your place in it, for the sun coming up, the earth spinning in its orbit, the water moving about, the stability of the planet, the longevity of life here upon the planet. In other words, when you look at it that way, you feel honored, don't you?
Very.
And when you look at specifics of people who seem to not be honoring you, when someone acts out or when someone misbehaves, is it really about them not honoring you, or is it about them not being connected so they don't have anything to give?
It's that, obviously.
So, which feels better to you? To say, she doesn't honor me enough to listen to what I want and do what I want, or she's so out of balance, she can't find her balance, and this isn't personally projected at me. Which feels better of those statements?
She's out of balance.
Oh, now you don't want her to be out of balance because part of you wants to take responsibility for that too. But on this subject, that did give you a feeling of relief, didn't it? In other words, she's not doing this to me, she's just doing it near me. Yes. So it's not it's not about her not honoring me, it's about her being out of balance, and that's just sort of who she is. Now, doesn't that feel a whole lot better?
Well, that just opened my heart.
And reconnected you with Source.
Yes.
So what you just said is, as I made an effort to find a way of finding some relief and found it, now I'm back in control.
Yes, yes. Oh, I got it. Yes.
So it turns out nobody else has to do anything for you to achieve control of your experience.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, indeed.